Once you have learned all my L cone drills, put them into a square, start to work 3 change of direction movements with each drill. Focus on fluid, efficient change of direction movements. So go try all my square cone drills, start to integrate them into your speed and agility workout. 4 square. Start by setting up 4 cones 5 yards apart in the shape of a square. All sprint. Sprint around the square, making crisp, efficient change of direction movements around each cone. Stay tight to the square and make sure you pump your arms through your brakes and keep your shoulders over your toes. All shuffle. Shuffle around the square, changing directions at each cone. As you pivot around each cone, transition into the opposite direction shuffle. Stay low in your shuffle and keep your toes pointed forward. Try not to rise up in your transitions and always make sure to turn and sprint when you reach that final cone. All CARIOCA. CARIOCA through the square drill, changing directions at each cone. Try to get your high knee crossover up to your chest and always land on the balls of your feet. Focus on keeping those shoulders over your toes and try to keep the rotation in your hips while you keep your shoulders square. All back pedal. Make sure to stay low in your back pedal, pushing off the balls of your feet and pumping your arms with each step. If you rise up as you transition around the cones, you will start to get onto your heels and you risk slipping or losing balance. Sprint, shuffle, sprint, shuffle. Sprint to that first cone, then transition into a shuffle. Then you transition back to a sprint and finish the drill with a shuffle. When you make your first transition from a sprint to a shuffle, be sure to shuffle facing the inside of the box so you can efficiently transition back into a sprint. Sprint, back pedal, sprint, back pedal. Now when you transition from a sprint to a back pedal, you need to make sure that you retain that good forward lean in your shoulders so you don't fall back onto your heels when you transition. Keep those shoulders over your toes and really focus on pumping those arms and driving out of each break. Shuffle, sprint, shuffle, sprint. When you transition from a shuffle to a sprint, it's important that your toes are pointed forward during your shuffle. Otherwise, you will round your turn and you won't have an efficient change of direction movement. So focus on crisp, efficient transitions and stay as tight to that square as possible. Shuffle, CARIOCA, shuffle, CARIOCA. Start in a shuffle and then transition into an opposite direction CARIOCA. When you reach that final cone, transition into a sprint on your high knee crossover step closest to that final cone. Always finish every drill with that transition to a sprint at the final cone. That way, we work that transition back into a sprint in every drill. Shuffle, back pedal, shuffle, back pedal. Start in a shuffle and transition into a back pedal. You will need to pump your arms in and out of your transition breaks at each cone. Keeping your shoulders over your toes will help you be crisp in your back pedal. And don't forget to always pump those arms in and out of every break and during every back pedal. CARIOCA sprint, CARIOCA sprint. Start in a CARIOCA and transition into a sprint. Now this transition from a CARIOCA to a sprint is a challenging movement because you have to make your transition on your high knee crossover step. So start facing away from the square on your initial CARIOCA and then face the square on your second CARIOCA. This will help you work both forward and reverse transitions into a sprint. CARIOCA shuffle, CARIOCA shuffle. Make sure to alternate so you get a good CARIOCA and shuffle in both directions in this drill. So start your CARIOCA facing away from the square and then transition into a shuffle facing the square. The following CARIOCA will face the square and then the last shuffle faces away. This allows you to work all transition movements in this drill. CARIOCA back pedal, CARIOCA back pedal. Again, make your cone transitions on your high knee crossover step when transitioning from a CARIOCA to a back pedal. If you keep your shoulders over your toes throughout the drill, it will make transitioning from one movement to another fluid as your head and shoulders will always stay in the same position. This also keeps you on the balls of your feet and off your heels. Back pedal sprint, back pedal sprint. The most important thing to remember when making that back pedal to sprint transition is to pump your arms through those transition movements. Make sure your arm drive originates at the shoulder and you're not just beating the drum with your elbows. If you want to efficiently get in and out of breaks, you need to pump those arms properly. Back pedal, shuffle, back pedal, shuffle. This time we start in a back pedal and transition into a shuffle. Now, even though the arms aren't pumping when we shuffle, keep them in a ready position so when we need to transition back to that back pedal, they're ready to drive. Back pedal CARIOCA, back pedal CARIOCA. To make an efficient transition from a back pedal to a lateral movement like CARIOCA requires you to keep your feet under the framework of your body. This means your shoulders are over your toes in your back pedal and you're not on your heels. If you start to get on your heels, it will make that transition into a CARIOCA more difficult and you're more likely to slip, fall, or get injured. Sprint, shuffle, back pedal, shuffle. In this drill, we start to combine 3 different transition movements. Start with a sprint and then transition into a shuffle. From the shuffle, transition into a back pedal and then finish with a shuffle. You should be facing the same direction the entire drill. Sprint, CARIOCA, back pedal, CARIOCA. Same concept as the last drill, but this lateral movement is a CARIOCA instead of a shuffle. All the same rules apply. Shoulders over your toes, land on the balls of your feet, and pump those arms in and out of each break. And don't forget to turn and sprint when you reach that final cone. Back pedal, shuffle, sprint, shuffle. Now we flip it around and we start with a back pedal. Again, you'll face the same direction throughout this drill. You'll end up doing a forward, reverse, and both lateral direction movement. Technique and mechanics are more important than speed, so make sure that you always focus on that when doing cone drills. Back pedal, CARIOCA, sprint, CARIOCA. Again, same as the last drill, but we're doing a CARIOCA instead of a shuffle for the lateral movements. Now focus on crisp, efficient transition movements, even if that means you have to go half speed just to get the footwork and mechanics down. Improving your mechanics will allow you to build speed and quickness faster. Sprint, shuffle, back pedal, CARIOCA. In this final drill, we combine all 4 transition movements. So start with a sprint, then transition into a shuffle, followed by a back pedal, and finish with a CARIOCA. Again, you will remain facing the same direction throughout the drill. Try to stay as close to the square with every transition around each cone. Subscribe to my YouTube channel and start checking out all of my other training videos so you can start to invest in your athletic success.